Hey guys, thanks for joining us for this 115th episode in Season 2 of Good Questions with Cameron Dole. Special guests on this episode include CNN legal analyst Elie Honig. Got a new book, Hatchet Man, we'll be visiting about. We'll also visit with former NFL player from the New Orleans Saints, Delvin Breaux, has a new book, Unbroken. We'll also visit with legendary drummer of Foghat, Roger Earl. Got the 50th anniversary plus a new live album, 8 Days on the Road, available now. And we'll visit with country singer-songwriter Curtis Grimes about his new single, Noah Built an Ark, and his self-titled album that's releasing this Friday. Of course, if you would, please take the time to subscribe, comment, leave some feedback, check out the shop, and share with your friends. Now, how old were you when you first felt like a true adult? Well, a new poll found 7% of us still don't feel like grown-ups, or around 1 in 14 people. That includes about 5% of people in their 30s and 40s, and 1% of people over 55. Now, the most common age when we feel like an adult is 18, and the second most common answer was younger than 18. So a lot of us grew up fast, I guess. The rest of the top 5 ages are 21, 25, and 20. 6% of people said they were over 30 when they finally felt like an adult, which might be the trend now because a quarter of adults under 25 said they don't feel like a real grown-up. 11% of people in their late 20s or early 30s said the same. You know him from his work as an analyst for CNN. Elie Honig with us. Elie, first off, great to visit with you. Excited to talk about Hatchet Man.
Thank you for having me. I actually have a lot of fondness for Oklahoma. I worked a big case there before I was a prosecutor and spent many, many weeks in Oklahoma, and I still feel strongly towards it. So thanks for having me.
And we mentioned Hatchet Man, how Bill Barr broke the prosecutor's code and corrupted the Justice Department. And Elie, where did your inspiration for the book, when did that first hit you?
My inspiration came from my own experience. I was a prosecutor for 14 years, 8 of which were as a federal prosecutor with DOJ. I worked 4 of those under Republican administration, 4 of those under a Democratic administration. The beauty of working at DOJ is it doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter. It never mattered to me. When it went from Bush to Obama, I didn't bat an eye. Nobody did. We just kept on doing our business. Then I sat there for 2 years, largely while I was with CNN, watching Bill Barr tear down the core values, the core principles that DOJ is built on, the 2 most important ones being credibility and independence. Bill Barr lied to us and the American public over and over, and he willfully, gleefully inserted politics into DOJ's prosecutorial function. So I just couldn't sit by and watch it, and the book sort of just flowed out of me from there.
As a novice in the news media business as well, tell our listeners, just kind of open it up a little bit for maybe some of those misconceptions that folks have about the reporting that's been going on Barr's behalf as well.
Yeah, I mean, all I can speak to is CNN, where I've been for about 3 years now. I can tell you everything we do, you know, the key ethic that we have is make sure you have your facts right, and make sure you're being fair. And everything we do, everything we write, I should say, goes through a rigorous fact check and standards and that kind of thing. When it comes to Bill Barr, though, I mean, I call him a liar in the book. That's a dirty 4-letter word. And both in the law and the media, we are hesitant, I think, in a healthy way, to call someone a liar. We say it, maybe he misstated the facts or misstated the truth or whatever, but the man just did it over and over again in a way where I had to say it. I don't write this book to pull punches. I mean, he lied to us about the Mueller report. He lied to us about the risk of election fraud. He lied to us about the reasons for firing the head of the U.S. Attorney's Office in New York, in Manhattan, and lots of even smaller lies. And to me, that's the number one sin you can commit as a prosecutor. And Bill Barr did it, and over again, and he did it for political reasons. So I'm not willing to turn a blind eye to that.
And Elie, you just mentioned the next word I was going to mention was the partisan politics of it as well. And those are supposed to be completely separate from that role as well.
They are. And that was one of the sort of principles that I was raised with. Look, any administration is going to have its policy preferences, some of which are going to be incorporated through DOJ. You know, we want to stress enforcement of opiates crimes, or we want to go after gun crimes. That is fine. Where I draw the line is stepping into specific prosecutions for political reasons. And we saw Bill Barr do that over and over again. First of all, with Donald Trump, I mean, he rescued Donald Trump out of the Mueller case largely by lying to us about what was actually in the Mueller report. He did it for Donald Trump's cronies. He did it for Michael Flynn. He did it for Roger Stone. Tried to tell us that had nothing to do with politics. These are just the cases that happened across my desk, he tried to tell us, which is nonsense. I think we're entitled to reject that. We're not stupid. It's obvious that he interceded in those cases because they're Donald Trump's cronies. So that's one of my fundamental objections to Bill Barr as well.
And I know you also talked about his extreme view on executive power, and tell us, Elie, kind of how this played out, as obviously you saw this firsthand as well.
There is an established school of legal thought that it's called the unitary executive theory, and it basically means the executive branch should be more powerful than Congress or the courts, and that the executive branch is the president, and everything in the executive branch, including DOJ, is the president. Bill Barr not only subscribes to that, but took it to an outrageous extreme where the president would be entirely unaccountable, entirely above the law, where the president, forget about not being criminally charged while he's in office. Bill Barr certainly believed in that. But Bill Barr argued in the courts, couldn't even be investigated, couldn't even be subpoenaed, could order anybody else in the executive branch to ignore Congress. And notably, Bill Barr has this veneer of sort of being an intellectual and super smart. He's a smart man, but he's not that smart, and he's not that good on the law. And he would write these briefs that would look impressive because they had all sorts of citations and they had the DOJ seal on them, but they're really flimsy work product. They're really illogical and dishonest, and I take them apart a bit in the book, but I also point out he was terrible in the courts. He lost constantly in the courts because he had such an unsupportably extreme view of the law in the president's favor.
And again, the book is Hatchet Man. And Elie, I want to make sure and let our listeners know not only where they can find more info about the book, but where they can pick up the book and also keep up with everything you've got going social media wise as well, sir.
Sure. So you can find the book anywhere. Books are sold, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, etc. I am Elie Honig. I am the only one that I know of, so there's no Elie Honig 2 or 5 or 6. I'm on Twitter and Instagram. Those are the best places to follow me. And, of course, you can see me on CNN and read my stuff on CNN as well. So I'm easy to find.
There you go. Well, Elie, I truly appreciate you taking some time out of your schedule there. I hope you have a great week, and hopefully we can catch up again real soon, brother.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Do you remember when people would get attention for discovering foods that seemed to be shaped like Jesus or, well, some other remarkable thing? Well, now you can cash in just by finding a minor manufacturing defect. A 13-year-old Australian girl named Riley Stewart was eating Doritos last week, and she came across a puffy chip, which isn't that different from those 3D Doritos. Well, she posted it on TikTok and asked people if she should eat it or try to sell it. She listed it on eBay and supposedly had offers up to $100,000. But then the auction got shut down. That's when Doritos stepped in and offered Riley $20,000 for the chip. Not because they want to investigate it, it's just a chip that had a big pocket of air inside. They just saw an opportunity to turn it into a marketing thing. They said, quote, "We've been so impressed with Riley's boldness and entrepreneurial spirit, so we wanted to make sure the Stewart family were rewarded for their creativity and love for Doritos." Do you know him from his time in the NFL with the New Orleans Saints? Was a defensive MVP as well. Got a new autobiography to talk about. Excited to talk about Unbroken with Delvin Breaux. And first off, Delvin, thank you so much for your time, brother.
Man, absolutely. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Now tell us the book Unbroken. I mean, as a football player and all that, I mean, how hard was it to sit down, share the thoughts, and maybe be a little transparent? I know as a football player, you're told not to do that, right?
Yeah, man. You know what? It was it was a difficult transition. Just trying to put thoughts onto paper. But I thank God I had help from a ghostwriter. to help me put those thoughts on paper and put this eventually in a book. And it's definitely inspiring, motivating, and man, anybody can read this book. Everybody should get this book who's facing adversity, and it'll help them overcome whatever their battles that they're going through.
And Delvin, if folks don't remember the story, I'm sure let's refresh their memories a little bit. I know that you've seen the highest of highs, you've seen the lowest of lows, and you've battled through adversities that folks told you probably never play football again. I mean, Delvin, what was it that kept you motivated to chase that dream, if you will?
You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, when I was getting discharged from the hospital, I asked, my doctor's football out of the question for me. Is it over with for me? He, she was walking out the door. He turned around and said, send him Super Bowl tickets when I make it to the Super Bowl. That right there, imagine that was my doctor who fixed my neck, who 11 hours to 13 hour surgery to fix my neck. And he told me, send him Super Bowl tickets when I make it to the Super Bowl. That's all the motivation I needed. That's all the determination I needed, because I had to make sure I get my doctor, Miguel Melgar, my guardian angel, those tickets. And I made it, but unfortunately I fell short with the tickets.
And Delvin, for you, what to hear the response that folks have had to your story, I mean, was that why it was so important for you to put it down on paper for folks to have it as a journal for them to also receive inspiration from? Yes.
Each one of us has our own journey. We are on our own journey, right? And sometimes the journey can get backed up, or it can get, adversity, things get in your way, walls being put up, people telling you no. Go get this book. If you get this book, Unbroken is definitely you're gonna beat the odds with all that. You're not even gonna, okay, well, yeah, they just told me no, this is just one road that's blocked. I'm gonna go on to the next one, just because of what Delvin been through, from his childhood abuse all the way to breaking his neck to making it all the way to the NFL with his hometown team. Like that's amazing. So yeah, man.
And for you to also partner with the hemp company releasing a strain of products as well to help others that are going through pain as well. I mean, Delvin, obviously wanting to help out another generation dealing with some of those issues that you've dealt with as well.
Man, yes, indeed. Oh man, now that you brought up the hemp factor, yeah, man. Yeah, and I think that would be a cool way to help the communities out too, right? Like I'm a cannabis advocate, and being able to get out in the community and talk about cannabis and destigmatize, the stigma that cannabis is bad for you, or CBD hemp, is bad for you. No, like I want to show people a different way. I want to show people that, man, this is good for you. It's actually good for our endocannabinoid system. So, yeah, man, it works hand in hand. I love it, and I want to continue to keep pushing that message as well.
That's good stuff. Now, the autobiography, Unbroken, Delvin, I should say, what's it like having the book out in people's hands, and what was your initial reaction the first time you saw it in print?
Oh, wow, I cried. I let those emotions go, because I finally was free. I'm finally free. I'm finally free of all those demons, because the words are out and people can actually, look at my book and turn to my book whenever they need to on their journey. But I cried, man. I cried. It was amazing.
That's good stuff. Now, Delvin, I want to make sure and let folks know not only where they can find more info about the book, but I know you got so many other things going on, social media, website, all of that. Where's the best place to keep up, brother?
Yeah, I'll be on Instagram. It's Breaux Show 40, and then on Twitter it's Breaux Show 24. And if you want to find a copy of my book, it's BreauxShow.com. It's BREAUXSHOW.com. And yeah.
That's good stuff. Well, Delvin, it has been great to visit with you. I appreciate you taking some time. You've been an inspiration for so many, and looking forward to seeing the inspiration from the book as well. And hopefully we can catch up again real soon.
Man, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, people use filler words when they want to sound smart, like saying, at this point in time, when the word now sums it up pretty well. So someone asked grammar nuts to name other redundant phrases that bugged them. Number 1, in my opinion. Now, we usually know it's your opinion if it's coming out of your mouth. Number 2, saying something is estimated to be around a certain number. Well, you already said it's an estimate, there's no need to say it twice. Number 3, general consensus. There's no consensus that isn't held in general. That's what a consensus is. Number 4, calling something an actual fact. Now that one might be useful now that we're bombarded with lots of untrue things presented as facts. Number 5, I feel badly about that. Now people think it sounds smarter than I feel bad, but it's actually wrong, just like you wouldn't say you feel greatly about that. Number 6, postpone until later. You don't need the words until later. If you want to postpone something until earlier, you're going to need a time machine. And number 7, saying the reason being instead of because. Like, I feel badly, but I need to postpone our meeting until later. The reason being, I forgot about it. Celebrating the 50th anniversary of Foghat, just released a live album, 8 Days on the Road, back in July 16th. And we've got the legendary drummer Roger Earl with us today. First off, Roger, appreciate you taking some time to be on the show.
Well, thank you for having me. I was up early. Though I'm a rock and roller, occasionally I do get up early, especially to go fishing and or to talk to people such as yourself to promote our new record. Thank you.
Roger, 50 years of an anniversary, you got the new album. I mean, did you guys put extra pressure on the new album because of the 50th anniversary as well?
No pressure. No pressure whatsoever. Actually, it was recorded in 19, just towards the end of November. I think it was in November 19. And of course, the next year was the COVID nightmare. We may have done something different for its 50th anniversary, but I was particularly pleased with the way this record sounded. Darrell Hall's House Club is a fabulous venue. They got really first-rate recording equipment. They had a 5-camera shoot. We also shot a DVD from it. Prior to doing the show there, we were on the road for 4 days. We had a sprinter run. So, the dates were all within 300 odd miles or more of each other. It was a fabulous sounding room. We don't normally get a chance to play such an intimate place, but I was really, really pleased with the way it turned out. Brian Bassett, our lead and slide guitar player, engineered and mixed the album. The vinyl will be out later this fall. And you can get the record at foghat.com. You can find out anything about Foghat there. And we just finished our third show. We did the Moondance Jam in Minnesota, 15,000 people. It was nice to be back. It was, it felt really good.
Roger, being back on the road again, I mean, after doing this for 50 years, I mean, you think you might get tired of it, but I guarantee after that 18-month break, I mean, how stirred were the juices getting ready to go back out for the first show?
Well, we have a studio down I live in Long Island, New York. The rest of the guys live in Florida. We went down to the studio and, because, I didn't see anybody for a year and a half. We'd talk maybe, once a month. We'd just call up and say, hey, how you doing? Okay. Nobody got sick. Everybody got back. But when we got together, it was very emotional. This has always been, right from the beginning, Foghat's always been a band of brothers. It's always been about the band. There was never like just one person in the band. It was, when the four of you take the stage, it's a band. And, it was emotional when we got together. We hugged a lot. And after we played for about 3 hours, we sat around talking and, drank some wine and like other libations. It's good to be back. I missed it. Though, to be fair, having a year and a half off, I personally had a really good time. I hung out with my girlfriend and my wife, which was nice. I went fishing, picked the garden, grew vegetables in the garden, mowed the lawn, did some work around the house. I tried to stay on top of things, I try to stay fit. I stretch, work out a little bit, ride my bike. Playing drums, there's a physical aspect to it. The mechanics of playing. So, I would sit down on my pads and play, but it's just not the same as playing in a band. The thrill is, when you're playing in the band and you're in front of 10,000 people. That I still get chills to this day, when I go on stage. I'm fine after you've counted the first song in, but, you walk out there and there's this big roar goes up from the folks. It's, I'm one of those fortunate few in this world who get to earn a decent living at something I love doing.
You're probably able to use a little bit that nervous energy. Probably pays out well on the drums, though, right, Roger?
Yeah, I love my work. Thanks. When I was growing up, my mother, before I even took up drums, I was always interested in music. There was always music in our house. But, I knives and forks on ruined mum's best china, banging on lampshades, banging on this, banging tap, tap, bang, bang. So my parents I had great parents. We weren't sort of well off by any stretch, but I used to work after school and had a Saturday morning job when I was a kid. So I saved up my money and I took lessons for like 2 or 3 years from a drum teacher. And then, of course, when you become a teenager, you figure you know it all. But I don't think you ever stop learning. No, I love my work.
That's right. And again, the new live album, 8 Days on the Road, is available now. Again, Roger, I not only want to let folks know where to find more info on the album, but the tour dates and everything you guys have going social media-wise as well, sir. Yeah,
foghat.com to find out anything about the new CD, where we're playing, T-shirts. Actually, we've got a really cool new T-shirt. It's got a Union Jack and the Stars and Stripes sort of blended together because, half English, half American. Hey, all is forgiven. At least we don't have kings anymore over here, do we?
That's right. Well,
God put me down here to rule you. I don't know about that.
Well, Roger, again, congratulations on the 50th anniversary. Looking forward to seeing you guys back out on the road, and hopefully we can catch up again real soon, sir.
I look forward to that, Cameron. You be safe out there.
Well, a new poll came up with a list of the 30 most stressful life situations. Now, it does not include choosing which ice cream to buy, even though there are always people agonizingly pacing up and down that aisle at the store. Now, here are the top 10. Number 1, health problems. Number 2, financial problems. Number 3, family problems. Number 4, running late. Number 5, a job interview. Number 6, forgetting something important you had to do. Number 7, not being able to get to sleep. Number 8, a disagreement with a partner. Number 9, traffic. And number 10, worrying you have upset a friend. Now, others that made the list include not knowing what to buy someone as a gift, getting a stain on your clothes, and accidentally liking an old photo of someone's social media. Well, he's been around the block for a minute or two. Got his self-titled album, though, releasing this week. Excited to talk to Curtis Grimes, also talk about his new single as well. And Curtis, first off, thank you so much for your time, brother.
Hey, I appreciate you having me, man.
Tell us the process behind the. I kind of gave you a little guff about it before we came on the air. The self-titled album, that's usually a debut, but you made people wait for it, right?
Man, I figured it's by now I have my brand, the direction, the sound, all that stuff figured out. Been doing it a little over 12 years, so yeah. And to be honest, though, I'm glad I waited because it took me a while to figure out exactly the groove and I want to go. I feel like your early years, you're feeling it out. Of course, it starts off with your influences. So I was big into the Texas country scene when I got into this music thing. So I was listening to a lot of Randy Rogers and Wayne Bowitt. So my early stuff kind of tailored towards that. Then I I appreciate the older stuff too. Your Vern Goslings, your Keith Whitley, that traditional sound. So I kind of started interweaving that in there. And then fast forward a few years, I kind of got my personal priorities lined up and started living for the Lord more than selfish endeavor. And so then I kind of went more positive, faith-based direction. And I wouldn't necessarily say this was a religious or faith-based album, but definitely there's an underlying theme of pointing people more in that direction as opposed to pointing them towards alcohol, drugs, and, party lifestyle.
That's right.
So you kind of, that accumulative process is kind of landed me where I am now. And also, it takes you a while to figure out kind of the commercial aspect of it, the radio-friendly side, the commercial appeal. You want to get playlisted on Spotify these days. And also, I like the more traditional stuff, the slow country ballads. So you try to find a good balance of both. And with this project, it's the first time we've ever done vinyl and even doing cassette tapes. Apparently, that's a thing, again, making a comeback. I don't think people are actually using them. I think it's just like a novelty item to have. I don't know how many people are selling them in tape decks, but they definitely are buying them from the merch table. So we're going to do that. But of course, they have the side A and the side B. So on this project, the side A is the more commercial friendly, the radio single side, and then the side B are your deep cuts, the more country ballads. And for me, fortunately, we've been putting out singles from this project for the last little over a year. So we've been able to use some of the singles up front, and we'll be able to continue using songs off the record, as opposed to traditionally you put out a record, you get 3 or 4 singles off of it, and then you're on to the next project.
Right.
It's old news. Well, I didn't want to do that because it always stinks because sometimes those other 7 or 8 songs, there'll be some good stuff in there that you just ran out of time.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to try to maximize the life of an album, wanted to do an album as opposed to an EP. So we did kind of get the best of both worlds. And yeah, I was able to split it up to, this is what's sustaining my career, and B-side. This is, if I won the lottery and didn't have to rely on anything else and just wanted to put out traditional sad country songs, this is all it would be. Kind of a combination of the two.
The single we mentioned, Noah Built a Boat. Where did this one come from for you, and how cool is it to have this one out and about, especially the times we're living in, Curtis?
Man, you're exactly right, and I hadn't really dove in too much of that aspect of it, but yeah, the timing is pretty impeccable with what's going on in the world, and the theme of that story, of course, from the Bible. But my buddy sent me that song, probably 4 or 5 months ago, and said, "Hey, this is the one I started writing with a guy, and it kind of fits the direction and the vein of your music." And the chorus was awesome, but the verses are pretty weak, man. So I said, "Hey, there's definitely potential here," and went in and kind of rewrote it with them, changed up a bunch of stuff in the verses, and because they were just playing it super safe, they were trying to avoid any kind of deep elements or didn't want to get too biblical, and I fortunately I call my own shots, so I can make it as deep as I want, and it is what it is. Nobody's telling me I can't. So we went in there and just kind of ran with it, and yeah, it turned out pretty awesome. And went in the studio, but that was a quick turnaround. Obviously, we had the record. We were going in to record that record pretty quick thereafter. So we got in the studio, and that one's hot off the press in every regard. So I don't know. I felt like it was a good one to put out right this second, and I think I'm going to be able to slow it down and use one of those country ballads here later on. So kind of looking forward to that. But summertime's not the time to release a slow song. So we went with the thumping tempo sing along song. So yeah, man.
Now you talked about being in the industry for 12 years, and what in those 12 years prepared you for what we all dealt with this last 18 months?
Ooh, for me, I think going through all of this has really defined borders, has really thickened walls, and really pushed people into their beliefs or what they put their faith in. Because that's what I'm seeing right now. We're seeing lines being drawn, hard lines, and it's really kind of pushing people to one side or another, or like I said, you're putting your faith in this or putting your faith in that. So sticking to your roots, sticking to your integrities and values. And I hit that point in my career where I felt like I was kind of sacrificing my own beliefs and moral integrity for the sake of trying to be relevant or put out what I thought that would make me successful in the music industry, of course. And a lot of times the common theme there is you're partying, you're drinking, you're cutting up. That's the stuff that sells. That's the stuff that makes the commercial industry money, and of course venues money. And when I got to the point where I said, you know what, if that's what it takes, like I don't want to be successful going down that road. So if I can do what is satisfying and pleasing to my own personal beliefs and integrity, and it works, then cool. Like that's the route I want to go. And knowing that's more of a harder road to take, because it's not you want to start putting out positive faith-based stuff. That's not necessarily the most popular theme of country music or even Texas country, to be honest. Even though there are a lot of believers in that genre, that's not necessarily the most popular product to sell. So once I said, hey, this is what I'm going to do, take it or leave it, then it eliminated all of the pressure and all of the stress and all of the what ifs and all of the, well, I need to do this because it was, hey, this is me, this is what I'm going to do. If it works, cool. If not, I'll do music for fun and get another job. And fortunately, I've been able to stay relevant and been very blessed. And shoot, we probably played more shows than any other band I know this year just because of that, because we weren't restricted to bars and honky tonks. We can play church gigs, we can play family-friendly events, we can play fair festivals, rodeos, and we're not in any box whatsoever. Actually, we have a pretty broad target audience. So yeah, man, that going into it really for me was, it just confirmed a lot of stuff, confirmed that I was on the right track. And like you said, when you're looking around at other bands not playing and you're playing, then you go, all right, well, I'm doing something right, and God's definitely providing and looking out for us in this endeavor. And I always say this too: the one positive, the one silver lining through this whole deal was I had a 6-month-old son going into this, and would have been in January. He was 6 months. So I got to spend a lot of time at home with my family, with my babies, that I would not have gotten if we were full-blown touring. So if there was a time in my career where I just had to stay home, like, it couldn't have been a better time. And I got a lot of stuff. We just moved into a new house, so I got, like, all my landscaping done, built a bed. I had so much that I could do while we were stuck at our residence. And it worked out great, man. The timing was perfect for all of that. And then, of course, that can't last very long. You got to start bringing in right. Income again. So when the doors did open, we hit the ground running, and it's been great, man. And it hasn't been that way for all artists, but fortunately for us, it's been pretty good, relatively speaking.
Curtis, another thing I love to ask songwriters especially is this last year, and especially with you trying to have an inspirational message with it as well, has the songwriting been harder to find that inspiration, or has that actually been a little easier for you?
Man, to be honest, I've become a better writer over the years. So in that regard, now when I do take the time to sit down and write a song, it's an easier process. And the biggest is because you're not running in circles trying to figure out, well, what's going to sell, what's going to work. I just, hey, this is what I'm going to write about. And obviously I'm going to come from a positive, faith-based perspective. So we just go for it. You're not second guessing yourself. And also too, now I've figured out the kind of people I want to write with. Because early on, you're just feeling it out, And I know for me, if I go sit down in a room with somebody that pulls out a little beatbox thing, like, we're not writing for me. I'll put my name on the paper. I'll chip in, but like, I'm not recording it. So I kind of have been able to cherry pick my traditional guys that understand if we're going to write for my projects or a song I'm going to record, like, this is what it's going to be. And so that helps too, just as much as anything. So you take that into any topic, any regard. I'm already way better and more prepared than I was, say, 5 or 6 years ago. But I don't know haven't written anything, we'll say pandemic inspired. I try to look past the negative,
right,
and put out stuff that's going to lift people up.
As the things open up more for all of the different shows coming up, how does this summer look different for you than last? I know you've been somewhat busy, but obviously things opening up even more now.
Absolutely, 100% different. We have 5 shows, I think, got 5 dates to fill for the rest of this year, which is obviously completely opposite of last year at this time. So yeah, we've been busy, and it's been good. My wife's a teacher, so you speak about summer. They came up, they flew out with us. So we were in Montana, Wyoming a few weeks ago. So we had 4 days off in the middle. So they flew up there and hung out with us. So that was fun. And yeah, we just gotta try to incorporate it and make it work to where in the summertime they can come to as many shows as possible. And just kind of make KY sunshine in that regard. But it's been good, man. It's been an awesome summer. Everybody, I kind of get the feeling too. Everybody from the concert goers perspective is ready to get back out and do something. So all the touring numbers are up this year compared to the previous pre-COVID numbers as well. Because of that, people now they can go do stuff. They've been cooped up and they're ready to go. So that's been really awesome also.
The new single, Noah Built a Boat, the upcoming self-titled album, Curtis Grimes, available on the 30th. And Curtis, I want to make sure and let folks know not only where they can find more about the music, the tour dates, the social media, all of that. Where's the best place to keep up, brother?
Probably the social media. You nailed it, man. These days, that's kind of the most popular place of interaction. But we have the website up with all the information as well. We have pre-orders out right now. Anywhere you do the digital stuff, pre-orders are available. Of course, hard copies will start going out on Friday being the release date. So the goal this week is just to get the word out, and I appreciate you having me and giving me that opportunity to do just that. And yeah, I always too mention we have a ministry where we get Bibles into the hands of anybody and everyone who wants one or has a friend or family member that wants one. And there's a spot on that at my website or 10fingerministry.com. And we always have a stack of them at the merch table as well. And that's just kind of part of our bigger passion and purpose of using this platform to lift people up for the bigger purpose of our reason and being here on earth and beyond. So yeah, that's kind of where our focus is aside from the music stuff.
Again, check him out on all the socials, visit his website. And again, Curtis, great to visit with you today, my friend.
Oh yeah, it's great to visit with you as well. And I appreciate you having me, man.
Well, thanks again for joining us for this 115th episode in Season 2 of Good Questions with Cameron Dole. If you ever have a comment, question, anything else you'd like to know, you can hit me up on the contact page at gqwithcam.com. You can also find me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook at gqwithcam. If you'd like to help out in funding for this podcast, visit the merch store where we've got hoodies, shirts, tumblers, mugs, stickers, and more. That's at gqwithcam.com/shop. You can also give a one-time donation at buymeacoffee.com/GQWithCam. If you have a special guest idea, please email me at gqwithcam@gmail.com. Again, thanks to our good friend Brandon Allen for coming up with our theme music. We're going to let him play us out, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your Monday.